Hey y'all, it's Jenny Caudill with Vulcan Sports Studios. We are located at Low Mill in Huntsville. We're Studio 111. Today we're going to be talking about how to do different types of character faces. So I'll go through the sketching basic process as well as finalizing your sketches and inking as well. So I hope today that you'll learn a lot and you'll stick with me and have fun. See ya! Hey guys, so like I said, we're going to start today by learning different types of character faces. We're going to start with a loose sketch, a more defined sketch, and then we're going to move into inking. So I like to do what a lot of traditional illustrators and animators do. They work with a light blue for their rough sketches, and then you layer on a darker blue so you can define more features that way. And it kind of helps you see over those rough, loose sketches. So to start, I open a new layer, or if you're drawing by hand, you can sketch on paper too. It also helps drawing on hand too. If you put a lot of pressure and you're a really hard drawer, the blue pencil will help kind of fade to the background when you're inking, and if you can't erase it that well, then you can actually kind of blur it out, your rough sketches, when you go to scan your pieces in. So it's a very helpful light color to use. So I'm gonna draw a few characters today. I'm gonna do a male and female to kind of give you different facial structures for different types of characters. So I like to start with a nice circle. That's always just the most basic way to start for faces. And then you kind of like to draw, I like to draw kind of a soft partial oval. And my favorite way to draw is 3/4 style, so that's actually what I'll be doing today. And you kind of want to make a line to show where the jawline and ear and everything are going to go. And when you're drawing faces, you want to divide them into quadrants. So we put a line down the middle. Notice how it's lightly rounded, because as your face moves, it's going to be more rounded. And then we're going to have another line here. This is roughly where our eyes are going to go. Notice how it's rounded as well. You want to follow the movement of the face with this. And then I kind of like to draw just like a little connected C. It's really just like a little backward C for the ear shape. That gives me a rough idea where I want that ear. And then I like to make about halfway where the chin is for 3/4. Kind of make your little line here to start your neck. And a little peak of a shoulder, and then behind the ear you're going to come over just a little bit and finish that neckline. And the neck's not going to be straight, it's going to be actually slightly curved. I know a lot of times we want to just make necks straight, but really there's a curvature to them. Alright, we're going to do that. And I got to figure out what kind of hairstyle I want, because I usually like to kind of rough that in, because that's going to tell me where I want to put the eyes and everything. So I think I want to give kind of those rough bangs, so I'll kind of loosely do like the direction of the hair that I would like. Kind of soften these shapes up. This is actually going to be our female character, so we want a nice rounded soft face as comparison to if we were doing a male character. Always good to have some hair that comes over to the side here, gives more dimension. And then we're going to round it over here. I think I want to give her some short hair. I usually draw lots of long hair, but I want to do short today. So give her some kind of short hair. And then we're going to find the hair is always a little bigger, especially if you get characters with lots of hair volume, than the actual top of the head. I'm going to have some overlap on her ear here. So it's always best to not get too intimidated when you do the face, because in reality it's really just a bunch of simple shapes put together. I know it can be extremely intimidating with a lot of details. Let's kind of block this in. So now we want to kind of find this. The crossroad is usually right where it crossroads on the face is where the top of the bridge of the nose is just going to go a little bit over that. This will help with proportions. And then I like to kind of draw a circle for where the ball of the nose is going to be. And then just a little bit under that is going to be her lips. Which I actually need to move the ear down because we want it to meet the nose and we want it to meet the top of the brow. So that's how you do proportions on that. The eyes, I just kind of loosely, when I'm quick sketching, I'll kind of just make an almond shape just to get it blocked down. So this is our quick sketch layer, just kind of getting a rough shape for the face so we know what how we're going to fill it in later. To kind of help get our base started. Of course, for eyes, they're just circles for the irises. And the ears, a lot of people have different styles. I like to do kind of a mix between like realism and something more simplified, personally. So here we have like our rough character. So next, especially working digitally, I like to kind of knock the opacity down so it's a nice rough sketch that's kind of light. And I'll come in here with a darker blue. And this is where we're gonna start finalizing things for inking. So come in here. I kind of just pick somewhere to start. It doesn't really matter. You'll get around to everything eventually. I want to define her jaw. Sometimes I like to meet on the edges and come across. So when you're doing 3/4, you definitely don't want to just have it flat here. You want to have, there's this little ridge that we have from where our forehead and the corner of our eyes meet and cheekbone. So we come down here and kind of connect everything down to this side. See what I'm talking about? You have the forehead area here, and then the corner of the eye, and then cheekbones. So this actually adds some dimension and shape to the face. And then you'll kind of chase the cheek down, and then we always dip in a little bit for our chins, and then it follows around into the jaw on the other side. I usually like to start the nose because I feel like that's the good center point for the face, and that's where everything's going to kind of flesh out from. So I usually like to connect my nostrils to the bottom of the nose, and to leave the bottom parts of the nostrils open is something I like to do because it kind of makes the nose a little more soft. And then I have my characteristic little lines I like to do to represent like the tip of the nose and everything. So. And then we do a light, I don't do a full bridge on this side of the face. Just a little bit of a hint here. And then we'll come in and I'm gonna start with this eye just because I can see it as I'm working across for this one. So that way they kind of match better. So I'm just gonna trace that previous sketch of the shape that I got, and I'm gonna define it. So I like to leave a little bit of an open space at the bottom because I feel like it makes it a little more soft and a little more defined. I feel like when we line stuff too much, it makes things awkward, especially when we're doing illustration. And then you come up just a little bit above because you want to give a little bit of an eyelid. And I like to do like a little crease here. So when you do the circle for pupils, you have to consider that when your eyelids are closed, you're not going to see the entire pupil and iris. So we do a partial, depending on how much the eyelid is open. Same for the pupil, especially what direction they're looking in as well. That will determine how much of each you see. And then I like to draw a highlight in the corner here. And then I'll kind of do some little squiggly lines for the iris, just to give that, some people have those little lines that you can really see in the iris. I just kind of like it because it's a nice, it adds a lot of definition to the eye. So I'm gonna come here with the bang piece because it's gonna determine how much of the eyebrow you're actually gonna see on her face. So again, I'm kind of thinning these lines out that I had from my sketch to define them. And this is usually where I'll start adding my hair strands that I like to do, that break things up into sections and add movement. Same with over here. I'm going to connect her bang pieces. It's actually starting to come together pretty quick, huh? Alright, so her bang obscures some of her eyebrow, so we're going to draw in between. I usually draw the full thing, and then when I ink it, I'll ignore the parts that are under the hair. That just helps with consistency. And the eyebrow is usually just two lines connected. Kind of think of it as a long, stretched out triangle in a way. But again, I like to do my hair sections. I like to have a lot of these little line segments, give the hair movement. To kind of add these little wispy sideburns. Sometimes I like to add some little texture. And I've noticed I've drawn this eye a little too low, so I'm going to bring it up in my finalized sketch. That's why it's good to always have a rough sketch and then a more defined sketch before you start to ink. Sometimes we get in a rush and we don't get it just right. But that's okay. And again with the eyelid. And this one, I have her eyelid a little closed a little more, so I'm going to change the position of her eyebrow to give more of an expression. And when we have this, we have the stretch and pull effect. So a little piece of, just kind of add this little wrinkle line here, since she's kind of pushing her eyebrow down. You want to have that little wrinkle. Again, circles, squiggles. Sometimes you can keep playing with your sketch where if you see things aren't quite right proportion-wise, you can always come in and play and kind of fix things and move them around. I think I'm gonna play with her ear a little bit. I thought I'd I thought it would be fun to add a little point to the ear so she can be kind of elfish. There we go. So here we're going to come down and work on her lips, which I like to do simplified lips a lot of the time lately. Pretty much 2 half circles kind of put together. And I like to leave little openings because it makes it soft. And I'm gonna add a little smirk to kind of match this expression that she has. So we've got this little curly kind of side hair, so I'm gonna have it peek over the other side. Add some more definition to it. There we go. Oops. So then I'm gonna come up here and finish out the top of the head, the hair. I think I'm gonna add some more of these little curls because I think it adds a little bit more movement and it's kind of fun. I actually need to make her chin and things a little bigger because it's a little, her lips are a little low. And the more you draw, the more you'll kind of catch yourself on certain things like that. My favorite tool is the freehand, so I can kind of move things around. It makes it a lot faster than trying to redraw things, especially if you like it already. So just kind of, you know how easy that is. And then same for her nose. So we have a more complete face, which I actually need to shorten the chin just a little bit. So that's what's so great about the sketching stage, is you just really kind of work on your proportions and get things to make more sense. I like to add a little extra wispies. Give more of that movement. Because I move things, I have to redefine the neck as well, which is fine. We're in the initial sketching phase, so no big deal, right? And I'm gonna add a little start to a shirt here. And as I look at this, I notice it still looks a little strange, so we're going to keep playing with that. Doesn't matter how long you're drawing, man. Sometimes you have to play with those proportions. There we go, I think that looks better. Alright. I like to add cheekbones a lot, so I'll kind of add these little slashes to kind of give that shape. Of course, collarbone and everything coming in. Just anything to add some more shape and definition to make characters more believable. I think I want to add some more volume to her hair too. Maybe I'll come in here and add like a little flower. Maybe another one. I like to work in threes a lot. It's a good pattern. So you went through this process with me, and this will kind of show you You can do these little things like this, and different types of hairstyles like this will help define different types of characters. So I think for her ear, I'm gonna add a simple little pearl earring. I think that'd be kind of cute. I think I want to add a little heart. And maybe some kind of choker. Kind of. Little hearts. This kind of things can really dress up a drawing, so it's not quite so plain. Alright, so here we have our female character. So now I'm going to come over here and come back to the sketch layer, and we're going to start with the male character. So again, when we come back over here, we're going to do the circle, and then for men, instead of the soft rounded shape, I like to do kind of like a long, elongated hexagon, very square. And you can always soften this up if you're trying to do more feminine style men or younger men. But I like to work kind of with older guys when I draw them. So, I think I want to have him be an elf as well. Do his ear a little larger. Not quite as dainty. And again, we have the little grid here, one that divides the face down the middle, curved, and then one that defines the bottom, the eye line here, curved. Always important to keep things on a curve because it helps shape things. And again, you got the neck coming out, curved, and then his is a little more broader. Peak of a shoulder and a peak of a shoulder. All right. So again, I like to start the middle of the face. For men, I kind of do their noses different. I do like a large triangle with an angle like that. So like a triangle that comes to a V point. And then I'll kind of do two like balls to kind of show where the nostrils and things are going to be. Because I like my men to look more angular, and I like my women to be more rounded and soft. But we get the same shape here because it gives that 3/4 view here as well. Of course, I like to do more angular cheekbone as well. And what I don't do for women, but I do for men, is I draw this little, I don't ever know what you want to call it, that piece right above your lips. I don't like to do it on women because I find it looks kind of harsh, but it works great for guys. And I don't really do a top lip for a man either, because again, I like that rugged. I focus on the bottom lip. Which I actually need to bring the jaw out more. Kind of bring this in. And then I'll do this little, I like to really define men's chins. Strong jaw lines and strong chins, that's what I like to work. So. And then come in with the eyes, same thing. Kind of just block it out. It's hard to see here because I drew the line really thick. Now men's eyes, I do a little smaller, more almond shape. I feel like it helps differentiate in my style. Of course, larger eyebrows, more angular. And sometimes I'll add some like extra wrinkles and things like that, because it really just helps kind of give more of a powerful kind of facial structure. And I like to do sideburns a lot because they're kind of fun. So that's his hairline we're going to define. And I'm going to have his hair kind of pulled back. So hers, we went lots of volume. So his, since it's pulled back, is going to be tighter. So we're going to do the hairline closer to the actual shape of the face that we have here. And then I'm going to have it pulled back. Give some volume here. And I'm going to draw a little square. So I like to do these kind of like wrapped ponytails, especially for like elves. Same with the eyes. Same technique. So here we're going to come in and define things. Just follow your outlines. I like to add a lot of extra like little crosshatch lines on the men's faces because it adds a little more ruggedness. Again, I like to define the bridge of the nose and then kind of do a light definement on the other side. Same thing, this is a style choice personally. I like to do these kind of little lines. I define the nostrils more readily on men as well. I'm gonna start with this eye. And of course, men have eyelashes too, so that's something a lot of people don't like to add, but I like to add them just to make them a little soft, just a touch of softness. this eye actually needs to move in a little bit. We'll have that kind of. There we go. I like that better. We want to move this up just a little bit. Telling you guys, work smarter, not harder. So again, I like to do some of these segment lines just to give more volume and flow to the hair, so they're just not quite as flat. And we have it gather here where all the lines move inwards towards the hair tie. Again, I'm going to do a shirt just because I like to do little shirts on my bust so they're not just so awkward. And for men, I like to add the Adam's apple shape. I think I'm going to make him cool, shave part of his eyebrow. Because why not? Maybe add like a scar. Yeah. That's always fun. There we go. So you can see the two different types of shapes. So we have a lot softer, more flowing, more clean, gentle lines versus we have sharper angles with a little bit of flowing lines and more feature definitions. So that's how I do women versus men. This is just like my basic style that I like to work in. It's kind of like a mix between anime and like comic books, I guess. That's what I've been told anyway. I like to have little fun clothing decorations. You can get into a whole nother mess doing clothing. So now we have our more defined sketches, and we'll move into the next step, which will be inking. So I like to knock the opacity down when I'm working digital. And this messy sketch layer, you can get rid of it. That's the one thing I like about doing digital versus traditional, because traditional you just have to draw on top of all that. So I like to use purple. I use purple and blue in my lines. It's just a style choice I like. So I'll get my inking tool and I'll come in here. And inking's pretty easy. You've done all the hard work already with the sketching. And sometimes it can get tedious, but we try to make it fun. So I'll start with the flowers, since they're the ones that are on top of mostly everything I have to work around. And sometimes I just kind of loosely trace around my shapes. It doesn't have to be exact. And I'll add some extra definition while I'm inking. And I like to add these movement lines. So for inking, what I like to do is I'll go back over some lines because it adds more weight to areas, like especially areas that tend to be more pointed down because of gravity. It adds that heavy weight line to it, and it adds some extra definition. And I think it makes lines just look a little more interesting. I don't like to be super picky with my lines. I like everything to be free-flowing, because I feel like it adds more movement and fun. So kind of just let the pen do its thing. She has this piece of hair that kind of comes behind this ear. So I'm gonna go ahead. I like to outline the ear point pretty good. And I kind of thin my lines out. And so this isn't usually connected on the face visually. This little jawline part, so I'll leave that open. And then I kind of thicken up the line around the lobe. See how that just adds a little more weight and characteristic to your line art? Earring. There we go. This just helps us move the lines behind the ear when it's already done. And I'll kind of trace these outer shapes. Just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be exact. Kind of makes inking less boring if you kind of change things up a little bit. Because you have your general idea of a shape that you want to use. And I just kind of follow my lines and connect them together. I like to do the same thing. I add weight to different parts of the hair as well. Just makes it more interesting. Sometimes I like to do it where different shapes start as well. I'll kind of follow this guy around. I like to do lots of continuous line. So I feel like you get cleaner shapes and you get more fluid shapes that way, instead of trying to start, stop, start, stop. There's no accidents in art. And sometimes I'll have like these little stray lines, so I'll come up with an eraser and kind of clean it up. Just to kind of smooth things out a little bit. Another great thing about working digitally, you can rotate your canvas super easy and zoom in. So I got that jaw locked down. And usually around the cheekbone, I'll kind of thicken my line again just to give that face shape. I'm going to keep working on the hair. It's going to disappear behind her neck. I'm going to go ahead and draw this stuff in. Just give myself a stop order. And just like I said, I like to follow. Just kind of let my pen do its thing. And then I pick certain areas where I like to thicken that line up, add a little more interesting shapes. And then I'll come to this eye. I always work on this eye at first because I'm right-handed, so I don't want to start on this eye because it can become uneven and I can't compare them. So it's always good to start. If you're left-handed, you'd want to start on this eye first so you can compare it to the two. And eyelashes, I kind of just like to do long pointy triangles, and I'll kind of space them out, and then I'll come in with just simple lines to fill in for volume at different lengths. And I don't follow it around because I find it's kind of awkward if you follow it around. Again, that's a personal style choice. So again, we started with that eyebrow. So we're just going to trace what's not covered by hair. I think I'm gonna thicken that up a little bit. There we go. Makes it a little softer. I'll usually come from the corner of the eye and go up for that one big eyelash. I like to work down inside this and then kind of just add all those little lines. Again, with the eyebrow, I'll trace it. but don't draw what's behind the hair. So there is a quick crash course in inking. You can always embellish and add some more things as well. Kind of helps inking be a little more fun, as if you add little extra stuff. It's usually when I'll come in and make like some extra little detail work, just freehand. And that's where we're gonna stop today. So we've got two different types of people with the different techniques that I personally use. And of course, we had a quick run crash course through inking. So I hope you learned some stuff today, and we will see you next week. Hey guys, I hope you learned a lot today. I hope that the tutorials that we had today about drawing different character faces will help you to develop a more unique style, as well as play with different styles, because it's always good to have multiples. Now, before you go today, I wanted to show you guys some new things that I've designed that are actually in our Etsy shop right now. That's etsy.com/shop/VulcanSportsStudios. We have about 160 items for purchase, and shipping is free for all orders 35 and up. So here's these new pieces that we've created this last week. I have this really pretty piece that's kind of a motivational, kind of spooky Halloween piece. So this one's available, and it comes in two different sizes. Isn't the color on this just fabulous? And I also have this really cute piece as well of this cute little bat, perfect for Halloween or all year. And it's nice and colorful as well. So if you love these pieces like I do, you can totally go onto our Etsy shop. Again, that's etsy.com/shop/VulcanSportsStudios. And I'll also include the link in the description. I hope you guys learned a lot and had fun. See you next time.